It's 102.9 The Hog with Borna and Mandy, celebrating all things great about Milwaukee for 414 Day. And we're very excited, debut on this show, to have him in here, the most famous beard, or one of the most famous beards in the city, Tim Dillard of your Brewers pre- and post-game on Bally Sports Wisconsin. Tim, thanks for coming in and hanging out, man.
Yeah,
Good to see you.
This is great. This is great. I got here early. I apologize. I couldn't wait.
I'd rather have
so excited about
rather have that than us
now.
sitting here waiting. Like, are they going to pull up? Is that them with the gate opening up the gate?
Yeah, that was me.
So,
my car's still kicking. I think the last time I was here, I was in that car as well. I actually came here about 4 or 5 years ago. So yeah, lots changed. It looks great out here.
We got a gate.
Yeah, the basket of candy out front is a little. It's a little lighter than before I got here.
Let's try to treat our guests very well. So we thank you for being here, Tim. And Brewers off to a nice start this season, scoring a lot of runs. Did you anticipate that going into the season as you assess this team?
I think you knew it was going to be an offensive bump. You didn't know how well, but I mean, it is 1 through 9, and it's almost like it's a really tough job when you have a lot of guys that are good. Pat Murphy is going, I have to sit this guy on the bench. Just look at Perkins in the second game against the Reds. Hadn't played that much, goes out, has 3 hits, gets 3 RBIs, and plays a stellar center field. You're going like, well, okay, well, is he our everyday guy? It's a good problem to have, but yes, I did see this team doing better offensively than maybe years past.
Do you find yourself being like extra judgy because you've been down there? Like, you've played for this team, you've been there, you know what I mean? You're not just a guy like John, like you've been down there.
Well, but I'm still a guy, just John.
Well,
no, I actually, it's not judgy at all. I know how hard this game is, and I only have like a year in the big leagues out of playing 18 years professionally. So that shows how hard it is to not only get to the big leagues, but stay there. And in my case, it wasn't injury. Like, I never missed a game in my career due to injury. I just wasn't good enough. So I can kind of rest easy at night going, well, I didn't do anything to hurt myself, but it's so difficult. This game, everything about this game is difficult. MLB steps in a lot of times and they change rules, and so it becomes even more difficult at times. And everything goes through that filter. There's nothing I'm going to say on air where I'm like, they should have done this, or they should have. I can use my opinion, but it is such a hard game. To watch these guys do what they do is super impressive.
And you have that unique perspective. Correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe there's a lot of guys like this, but you played the game for a long time. Said only minimal time in the big leagues, but you're good enough to play in the minor league system for all those years. It's not like you played for 3 years and then like, the career's over.
Yeah.
So did that make it more frustrating that you're like, man, I'm good, I'm great at this level. It's hard to just make that jump is so hard though, right? Between AAA and and
not just some geek off the street.
Yeah.
I'm handy with the steel, if you know what I mean. And that's I don't know. I was good enough to be in AAA for almost a decade, I guess, off and on, or more than a decade. Well, that sounds funny, but everybody has a different path. And you have here's the thing about baseball, professional baseball, that maybe a lot of people don't know, is you have almost zero control. Unless you are a 1%, the Christian Yelich, the Mookie Betts, the guys that have those deals and you're going to play and you have the money, almost everybody else has zero control. You may go and have a great game. I mean, look at Ashby the other day. I thought he threw the ball very well for what he could control. The plays behind him, some of those weren't made. A ball couldn't go at somebody. It just didn't go his way. And then suddenly he's sent back to the minor leagues. Like, what more do you have to do? I did my job. And they're like, yes, you did your job. Go back to AAA. That is a hard thing to deal with. That's hard as a professional baseball player because you have very little control. I think when kids get in the game and they're like, yeah, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this, and baseball's going, no, you can't control any of this stuff. So I actually have a heart for that kind of thing when I look at how baseball works. And it just wasn't my path. My path in my head was at least 10 years in the show. That's what everybody's goal is.
Yeah.
And it wasn't my path. Mine was so many years in the minor leagues. But to be able to do this opportunity, hey, I'm not A-Rod. I can't sit there and say, well, why don't this guy just be better?
Be better.
Do better. Yeah. Make me a bicycle clown. Yeah, I can't do it. What am I going to do? I'm going to be like, I see all the hard work that pays off. I get to the field early. I see what these guys do. When Bryce Turang spins in the grass in right field and throws a guy out at first, it's not just by chance.
Yeah.
This is skills that he's acquired over a long career, even before he was a Brewer. So, and stuff that he finely tunes all the time. I love to see that stuff because you see the fruition on the field, but at the same time, it's a very big task for them off the field that they put time and effort into.
Let's talk about your off the field now, is that you're doing the pre and post game, and you're no stranger to walking around, which by the by, you are taller than I
stick
thought.
out like an itchy rash.
Well, you do. And it's because of that I was able to identify you as walking by you, because we go to several games a year.
Oh, yeah.
And we're there all the time. And
Did I ignore you?
No, okay. No, you didn't. We were walking in like a group, and I'm like.
Is that how you walk?
This is how I walk in American Family Field. And I'm walking, and I see you coming, and I'm like, oh, I know, that's Tim Dillard. And my boyfriend is standing here closer to you, high fives you. You high five back, and you're like, yeah. And I was like, hey. And you're like, hey. And then he looks at me, and he's like, you don't even know who that is. And I was like, how dare you? Of course I know who that is. He's like, well, who is it? I was like, it's Tim Dillard. He was like, oh. You're right. And I was like, I am right. Because he thinks that I don't know anything about anything, even though we go all the time. Anyway, you were cool, and you are taller than
nice.
I thought.
Do you get that a lot? The height?
The height, do you get a lot of
You
high
look
fives
smaller on
as you're
TV?
walking
Yeah,
around?
yeah. I must slouch horribly on television. I'm not sure, but I get it. Yeah,
I got to get you a stronger chair, a back of a
right?
chair or
Like,
something. So
maybe I don't
get the
sit
posture
up
up.
straight.
Yeah.
I mean, I look funny when I sit up straight like this. I don't know. I've always thought I was tall, but I guess when you're on TV and I'm with Craig Kashan and he's, I'm not saying Craig's short, but he's not as tall as I am. But the way they do the seats, right? Like we're the same height, which is strange. But then we stand up and everybody's like, whoa.
Yeah.
I'm about 6'5", maybe, and I don't know. Yeah, stick out in a crowd a little bit.
Yeah, but I'm sure you get that a lot. You're walking around, people are like, hey, Tim, high five and all that. That's got to be fun, right?
Oh, yeah. I'm a high fivesman. If you see me on the concourse, high five me. And if I run by you, it just means that I'm probably late.
Late for something.
Because for whatever reason, I'll leave the press box and I'm like, all right, I'm going to go down to Nellie's corner. I'm going to be early. I'm going to be good at my job this time. And for whatever reason, I still show up right on time, right before I'm late. So anyway, feel free to say hey. I'm glad I said hey.
I am too, or else this would have been a real awkward interaction, right?
This would have been, you've been like, where were you? Yeah, I said hey, you just kept running.
Right?
Yeah.
When you're not working, covering baseball, what are some of your favorite things about this city and things to do? What do you like to do in your downtime?
Everything. I'm going to an Admirals game on the 17th. Already have that booked.
Yeah.
I'm going to wear the Brewers hockey jersey.
Nice.
That's going to be fun because everyone's going to be super jealous. I may have to give it away, even though I really want one and I want to keep it. But I don't know. I get out and about. I hit up a lot of pubs. I'm sure you may see me there too. Don't be afraid to say hi.
It's a tall bearded fella.
Yeah.
Give him a high five.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I have a beer release that came out at Broken Bat Brewery.
Awesome, yeah.
That was Sunday. And that was fantastic. A lot of people that I work with showed up, so thanks for that. And a lot of people from social media showed up.
Nice.
So that's what I love to do. If people reach out over social media like, hey, I'm going to be doing this, I'll show up. I'll show up at your wedding. I don't care. I have a wife and 3 kids. Don't just think I'm a hobo. I mean, the beard is a little misleading. But I live in Nashville. If my family's not here, then it's basically just me and, the sky's the limit. So on days I have off or like today, there's a night game or something like that. Then I have the whole mornings free.
Yeah.
If there's a day game, I have all my nights free. So yeah, I just get out and about. There's always something to do.
That's a true story. Let's talk a little bit more about your beer, because it's had kind of fun names.
Yeah. Wait, beer or beard?
Yes. Your bearded beer.
Bearded beer.
That is available for beverage.
Yeah. Well, the newest ones is it's Volume 3. The first one was the Dillard Very Pale Ale, which is it's correct because I'm one of these guys like the automatic like hand washers. You put your hands on.
Yeah.
Like I'll be like, oh, this thing's broken, and someone else will walk in and it works. Like I'm translucent with my skin a little bit.
Yeah.
The second one, I was still playing baseball at the time. It's called the Bearded Stirrup. I was the oldest guy probably in AAA baseball, and I was the only guy wearing stirrups, really.
Right.
And so it just kind of became the Bearded Stirrup IPA. And then the last one that just came out a few days ago is the Captain Cliché IPA. I've officially, turned over into the broadcasting world.
Yeah.
And anyway, if you're ready to grab the bull by the horns,
Okay.
this Captain
There
Cliché
he is.
IPA is what it is. So.
Can we talk about those stirrups for a second? Why were you still holding on to the stirrups? You didn't like your pants rising? Like why?
No. I like the pants up. I've always liked the pants up when playing baseball. I think it looks good. It's a throwback.
Yeah.
When I got to the big leagues, though, the big thing was wear the pants is down and as baggy as possible. And so that's kind of what I fell into with the trend. It's about the only pants they had, really. and kind of just fell into that. But in the minor leagues, it was always pants up. The Brewers in the minor leagues were always pants up when you're coming through the ranks, so that was just standard. And I kind of just fell in love with it. I was a sidearm pitcher my last 11 years playing, so for me, I was always a little different.
Yeah.
And the cool thing is to wear the pants down, so I had them up. And luckily, there was some teams that had some stirrups out there, and so I took full advantage of that. I still have them, too.
What do you think of the see-through pants that made the news in
Right?
spring training this year?
I will go, you know what? I'm not a Nike person. I'm not under contract with them, so I will freely say that these uniforms are terrible to look at. They are so bad. There was a guy that slid into home the other day for the Tigers, and it ripped at the seam. Listen, pants will rip. A guy sliding into home happens a lot.
Yeah.
It's usually located in the backside, and so usually a small thing. These are ripping at the seam down the side of the pants. That
Not well
cannot happen. It looks bad. There was a guy that pitched against the Brewers the other day, Montas, and his name, he's a big guy, and his name on the back of his jersey is so small. It just looks bad.
Yeah.
And you can tell that when it's sweaty, the gray jerseys look bad. The home pants you can see through. It's just bad. There's no other way to say it. There's nobody. And I know all the Nike guys that have a contract with Nike, if they get asked, they're like, well, these aren't so bad. Well,
right.
they probably have to say that.
Right.
But they're bad. And I haven't run into anybody yet, any friends, former teammates, haven't run into anybody that's like, yeah, these are a big thumbs up. No.
I'm shocked that they made it actually to the season.
Oof.
Because when we saw the pictures and we saw how super
Yeah,
they were,
right.
like, there's no way they're
Thought
going to
they'd
play
get
games in
corrected.
those.
Somebody
right?
probably got fired for that. I hope not, but
Well.
who said, yes, Lee's jerseys are exactly
Right.
what
Yeah,
we're
right.
looking
That
for?
looks good. Send them
probably-
out.
and
And they're all
probably
in back order, too.
And probably didn't ask the opinion of players or anything, right?
Oh,
They just
yeah.
do these things
Heaven
and go,
forbid.
yeah.
I always go back, and I mean, there's no league that does it exactly right on all fronts
Sure.
all the time. But I go back to the NBA. When they changed the ball about 5 years ago, they were trying to test the different basketballs. They reached out to different players. They reached out to staff members. They wanted to get this exactly right. And it was a collaborative effort on all fronts to make sure everybody was okay. It was a long process. A lot of players were sent the prototype and they would use it and they would go, no, I don't like this.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, you look at the NBA and or the MLB, and they'll change the baseball on a whim, and they'll change the jerseys on a whim. And it's like, did you consult anyone on this?
Yeah.
And do you think this is a good idea? It's very strange, and I feel like I can speak open freely with you all. Maybe I can on air, but that's how I feel.
Yeah.
Just ask somebody. It's not hard.
Right. Ask the
Yeah.
other people. Which leads me to asking about your beard. Let's talk about it because, got the best beard in the business. What do you got under that beard? What products are you using? How do you get it so floofy and shapely?
There's probably some Cheetos in there if that's what you're
There might be. I
implying.
feel like
And I
you
think I left a
had
little
snacks.
DNA on this microphone for the next person. I
Yeah.
apologize. I don't know. I played a long time, and I was always clean shaven. One of the things, my dad he played in the big leagues before I was born. He was a coach for a long time. And one of the things that scouts look for, even professional scouts, once you're in professional baseball, they look to see where is your ceiling going, right? If you get a guy that's 18 years old and he has a full beard like this, is he going to grow? Has he reached his peak? Is this the ceiling? So I always, before every game, was clean shaven. I wanted to look as young as possible, and I did that for 12 years of playing professionally, and then I finally got a job back with the Brewers. To go to AAA Colorado Springs, and a buddy of mine that was a player, he was like, man, if you want to reinvent yourself, he's like, just go full beard. And I was like, done. And that was it. And I started growing this beard out. Wife hates it. But, it kind of became a shtick. There's not a lot of broadcasters that have a beard, so I don't know. I like it. I forget that I have it. My chin is right below my lip, so it kind of is hiding up some stuff. But I got some scars from baseball that are around the face too. But I don't know. Hopefully it doesn't come across as anything other than welcoming, because I enjoy talking to people, and hopefully I don't come across as I don't own a motorcycle. I'm not tough around the edges. I'm very soft.
Well, he'll do high fives and show up at your wedding too if he's available. If there's no game. Tim Dillard, Tim, we thank you so much for coming in on our 414 day celebration. We appreciate it. Love the work you do with the Brewers pre and post game, and we'll look for you all summer.
Awesome, appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thanks for coming. Can't wait to high five you at a bar.
Yeah.